say it. You're going to be good. All right, Michele, I want to hear your running journey. How did you get into it?
Well, I started running when the kids were little, probably like around, I don't know, I think it was 2005. My daughter was born in 2000, so she was probably about 5 years old. And I worked out at a health club and I saw runners there. And I would just take classes, but I'm like, oh, I could never be a runner. And even when I tried it one time, it was like I made it past a couple houses and then I was absolutely dying. And I just decided one day, I'm like, well, I'm going to give it a try and sign up for a race. And I don't think I even realized that there was anything but like the Chicago Marathon. Like, because if anybody ran, they just ran the Chicago Marathon. So that's
Yeah.
what I signed up for. Like, I don't think I knew there was 5Ks or, which would have been a nice start.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. So you just, so you would run a couple houses. Had you run further than that before you were like, I'm gonna sign up for this race because that's all I
Oh
know
no.
about?
Oh no, I had not run past our neighbor's house when I signed up for Chicago Marathon. But it was a year, like I
Okay.
had a full year to get ready and and then I told people and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, why did I tell people? Cuz now I can't pull out because now people actually know that
Yep.
I'm signed up for this race." And so I know that so many people do this. I went on and like searched, and I found Hal Higgins
Of course.
free
Yeah.
download. And so I downloaded his like beginner program and I just started doing it. And I just kind of I didn't even have a watch. So I would drive around and kind of guess the mileage and my mom would babysit for me because the kids were small and she had a shop, so it'd be like in the afternoon. And so I always ran like 2 in the afternoon when it was like super
Oh
hot.
gosh.
So now I love hot running and it did, it doesn't bother. I mean, like kettle, I love kettle running through the meadows because I'm used to this really hot running. And, so I just did all the training. All by myself. I kept seeing those runners and like, I'm like at the health club and I'm like, okay, those guys are real runners, but I'm not a runner. I'm just trying to figure this out. And I'm totally, I did a 20-mile run, but I still showed up on race day going, well, 6.2 more miles. Can I actually do it? And I don't think I liked a single training run, really. I was just so scared for whatever reason. And then I got to the race and it was just like all the energy. And then I saw people from the health club that were the real runners. They're like, yeah, Michele, run with us. And I'm like, okay, I'll try. And I ended up having to leave them and because I ran in the afternoon and it was really hot. It was super hot. So it
Oh
didn't
yeah.
bother me at all. And I loved it. It was just all the energy from the race. And like that run felt really good. It was like so easy because, training works. And
Yes.
then the gift is race day. And that was like when I first learned, how awesome it was, even though I was panicked for a year over it.
Oh my gosh. I love that. That is the biggest buildup I've seen yet in somebody's running journey. Like, I'm gonna sign up for a marathon, haven't even run a mile yet. I love the confidence involved in that. And also like the confidence that comes with not knowing what you were signing up for, or that there were other options.
Yeah, it wasn't confidence. It was just dumb. It was me just not knowing that there was any other option. Like when people ask you, they're like, oh, you run, so you run a marathon. Like that's about how much I knew about running.
So where did you go after the Chicago Marathon?
Well, then I did a couple more marathons, like over that winter. Like I went out to visit my family in Arizona, and then my husband used to go to Florida for a work conference. So I did a marathon, the A1A marathon there. So over that winter, I did a few more marathons. And for some reason, like the second marathon that I did, when I crossed the finish line, I said to my husband, I'm like, I could run 5 more miles and then it would be an ultra. And I'm
Of
not
course.
quite sure how I knew about that. I probably was like reading magazines or whatever. And so like for right away I got ultra in my brain. So I did marathons, through then. And then the next year I decided I wanted to run an ultra, and my dad lives in Arizona, so I kind of like to do Arizona races so I could go visit family. And I just searched and I found Javelina 100, and
Nice.
I signed up for the 100K. And so then I ended up doing like a 50K before then as a training run, but Javelina was technically the first one I had signed up for.
Hmm.
And then I did like Howl at the Moon 8 hour before that. Um, and then I just went out to Javelina this year, and it was kind of funny because I remember Jameel Curry, the race director
Hmm.
there, and I asked him a bunch of dumb questions before because I didn't know anything. Like there wasn't Facebook,
Hmm.
like there was no way for I didn't even like when I went to the race, everybody was eating food. I couldn't believe they had like pie. Like I had never ate anything on my training runs because I didn't
Yeah.
know you should. And it was like really weird to me, but I remember he was just so helpful to me. And then at the race, he was just he was just very engaged. There was a time that I didn't think I was going to make the cutoff, but I was definitely way ahead of cutoff. But mentally, and he's like, no, you got plenty of time. Don't worry about it. You could crawl and finish. And so it was real. I remember how nice he was, and I thought, what a great community. And it was a pretty big race then, but it was only like 200 people. But for ultras, it was pretty big at the time. And then this year, I went back with my kids and we ran the night race. And come to find out, it was only like the second year he was race director
Oh,
of it.
wow.
And it was a
That's
different
cool.
course than it is now. And but now it's huge. It's like 800 plus runners. That might be more than that.
I
I
think it's
can't.
1,000. I think it goes up to it.
Okay.
I was literally, the only reason I know that I was literally talking to someone about the other day who just gone out and run it, and how it was 1,000 was the capacity, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, but they do a great job. I really love the Aravaipa community, and they were a big inspiration to, I mean, he's been a big inspiration to me since he was my first, basically my first ultra.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Okay. So have you run shorter distance races since then?
Yeah, well, now I'm like right now I think I'm on a kick where only want to do like 50 miles. I don't
Hmm.
think I want to train for 100. But when, at that time, hundreds, there is just no high like 100-mile finish
Yeah.
line. Like it just feels so good to finish 100. And I kept chasing like 100-mile PR. I really never did that great at 100. I was better at 100K, 50-mile distances. I always have stomach issues.
Hmm.
Um, but still I mean, I finished hundreds and did the best that I could, but
Yeah.
I just never thought I like had the race that completely came together for me.
Yeah.
But for like 50 miles and 100Ks, I've had some decent races. And so, but now, so mainly I would do a 50-mile run as a training run for 100. But I
Hmm.
would do okay at the 50-mile, even though I didn't taper to it, and it would be like a 100-mile week for me or something.
Yeah. Oh my.
So, but now I've decided, 50 miles, I just don't have the time to train
Yeah.
that high a mileage. And it's kind of nice. You do 50 miles, you can, cheer on some people afterwards. You're not like complete, like walking funny the next week. And
Yeah. 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 You're done in like a day, a normal
yeah.
day. Like you could wake up at a normal time, go to sleep at a normal time, and just be running all day, really, which is amazing. So how long into your ultra running did Ornery Mule start, and how did it start?
Well, it started pretty well. I don't know. I guess it didn't start that early into it. I consider 2011 the year that it started.
Mhm.
Uh, but I guess I was running longer than that. I mean, few years before that, I was running ultras, but it started because in Crystal Lake here where I live, I was running on the trails out there and I was doing ultras and everyone I would do, like I would do Potawatomi, I did Kettle, Ice Age. Like you used to be able to sign up for Ice Age and Kettle like the day of the
Yeah. And
race.
just get in. Yeah.
And but there was never anybody that lived near me that
Mhm.
was doing it. And then when I was running on the trails at Veterans Acres, I did not see very many people at all. And I really kind of wanted to meet some other people, and I would like look at the entrance list, and I remember there was one person that was like a couple towns over, and I was like, oh, I have to meet that person. Yeah. And so I really wanted to meet some of the other people that were doing it, and plus Veterans Acres and Crystal Lake is just absolutely amazing
Yeah, that's a
trails.
great place. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and now people, so I decided, I'll put on an ultra out here, and then that way I can introduce people to what it is, because if I want everybody to get to enjoy what I'm enjoying doing.
Mhm.
And so I planned Earth Day
Okay.
50K. That was my first race, and it was just a 50K the first year, and we had like 75 people sign up, and
Nice.
I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I have to take care of 75 people. Like,
It's a lot.
wow, this is a big responsibility. I got to keep them safe all day. It's a great like looped course.
Mhm.
I felt like it was very beginner friendly because you could, like, if you are attached to a certain food. I mean, we have an aid station, but you could bring your drop bag and, like something like I like to drink my own water because I like natural spring water, which is actually what we have at our aid stations. But, and so my husband would always drive around and bring that to me at races. But, with a looped course like that, I felt it was very beginner friendly. And the race went really well. I mean, I'm glad it was 75 people because I had some lessons, I'm sure, to learn. I remember the night before the race, like I kind of mismanaged my time of how to get the race swag bags and stuff together, and
Yes.
like for like I like was in my living room like packing and doing all this,
Yes.
and it
I've
like
been
took
there.
forever. And so then I'm like, oh, I definitely need to manage more time for that next time. And so the next year we got a little bit bigger, and then I don't know, we just kept getting bigger, and Frozen Gnome we added the next year after that, and that was mainly, I don't really like winter running, and even though, I mean, I shouldn't say that. It's gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
snow-covered trails are maybe my favorite kind of trails to run on, but it's really hard to stay motivated all winter because the weather's not consistent, and I thought it'd be really nice to have something to look forward to, midwinter. So Frozen Gnome, we came up with that, and I don't know, I just kept finding, like, courses that I wanted people to run on and do. Let's see, what was next? I guess Hennepin, because like I was saying, I liked 100-mile racing,
Mhm.
and I like to chase, I really like to run at the fastest pace that I can without blowing up. Like, that's where
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
excited about. That's what I like to, chase PRs, whatever that is for me at the moment.
Mhm.
That's just kind of what I enjoy in running. So a flat and fast course was something that sounded really exciting to me, that was scenic and was maybe on a this was stuff I had in my head that I was looking for, that was on a trail that we could help. And then I found the Hennepin Canal State Park trail, and so then the Hennepin 100 went on, and then we got Galena because I used to vacation in Galena with my family when we would camp. And so right down by where we camped at is where we have a Galena Sky
Mhm.
trail race. And it just kind of kept on going until now we got a whole bunch of races.
What were some of those lessons that you learned in those first couple years of race directing?
Well, managing my time was pretty huge. I think that I always think that one of the best things I did was grow slowly,
Mhm.
because if I would have like, we had people asking to get in. If I would have let those people in, I think I would have been more likely to not have handled everything as well.
Mhm.
Um, I'm let me see. Just organizing like aid stations, we've gotten super efficient, like just a whole system of spreadsheets of exactly what you'll go through at an aid station. And then we pack these really nice boxes, and there's like a spreadsheet on the top. And, we know how much nutrition you're going to go, like sweet stuff, how much
Yeah.
salty stuff, like peanut butter, protein, like all that kind of stuff. And we have it categorized.
Mhm.
Like, that's something that's just kind of evolved over the years, that uh, we have a really good system in place. Designing is my most fun part of
Oh,
it.
that's cool. That's cool. I wasn't sure who did all you all's designs.
Well, I have a few different graphic artists that I work with,
Mhm.
but and there's some stuff I can do. I'm not as talented of a graphic artist as the people I work with, but usually I can kind of draw something out and then
Mhm.
give them the idea, then they
Yeah.
make it like spectacular.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I don't know, just kind of learning, where building good relationships. I've got some great t-shirt companies that I work with. I have a metal company that is my best relationship I have. They never fail me, and they just do a great job. Like, they even last year for Kettle, I always order everything super far in advance,
Mhm.
and I had ordered the buckles, but we hadn't unpacked them and got them all organized for the race, because we put everything in a clear box and then label it so it's easy to find on
Mhm.
race day. And the week of the race, we unloaded the buckles, and the 100-mile finisher buckles, they had accidentally sent us all sub 24
Oh,
100-mile
no.
finisher buckles.
It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
And it was like the week before the race. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we had like 180 buckles, but I like to have one buckle for every person that signed up,
Mhm.
even though I doubt we had 180 finishers. So, so I kind of knew that we probably had enough regardless, but I still wanted to have one for every single runner, just in case. They literally got me the buckles made and sent to me
Mhm.
before race day. And this was
Oh,
like on Monday or Tuesday, and the race was on Saturday.
that is so impressive. Oh my
So,
goodness.
having great companies that you work with,
Mhm.
I feel like it was partly my fault. I should have had it opened, and, I had it'd been
Yeah.
sitting there for a month ready to go, and we just hadn't put it in the box yet, the clear box yet. So,
Yeah. What were you doing before you got into race directing?
um, well, I was a sales rep for like
Mm.
running stuff.
Yeah.
And so I worked at, like, I would manage territories,
Mhm.
like Midwest territories I worked for Innovate Shoe Company.
Okay.
I ran for Innovate actually for like 6 years
Oh, wow. That's cool.
as well. And then I worked like for Tailwind and Squirrel's Nut Butter
Oh, okay. Cool.
and Gingy Sacks,
Mhm.
and just a bunch of there. I mean, Sid and Nikki always joke, because I'm always like, "Oh yeah, I used to work for them." 'Cause
You've got you've toured the ultra running companies. Yeah.
well,
And
yeah, because when you're a rep, you have a bag. It's like, and you always rep a whole bunch of companies.
yeah, yeah,
You don't.
yeah.
It's not just one. So mine were all like, I was a trail runner, so like I tend
Yeah.
to get a bunch of good trail running stuff.
Got you. So, your reputations have an event. Your events have a reputation. Oh my goodness, I really messed that one up. Your events have a reputation at this point, and to where I've heard of them. And what I hear over and over is just it's so friendly, and everyone is so just joyful to be there. And as a race director, you have so much responsibility of being able to create that environment. So, how have you created that environment in your trail races?
Well, I don't know. I think it just is a reflection of my personality, possibly. I am ridiculously positive, and I mean, not that I'm constantly always positive, but Nikki works with us. She says, even if I complain, I'm like, a couple seconds later, I'm like, I come out with a positive thing about what
Mhm.
I just complained about. I can't like stay with that. So, and I don't know. I can't say that there hasn't ever been any drama,
Mhm.
that's ever happened around our races, but I try really hard to, within the community, but I'm not going to put up it within our races. I don't know. I want everybody to feel welcome. I keep saying that I want everybody to feel welcome. And I actually, when I went to American Trail Running Conference, uh, they do a bunch of, well, getting educated, I think, has been really helpful. And they do a bunch of educational classes.
Mhm.
And there was one educational class that I felt like helped me a lot. And a guy named Peter put it on, and they were talking about inclusion. And I'm thinking, well, the ultra running community is so friendly and so, inclusive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how we could, like, how do we make that better? And then he was just saying, just by saying that
Mhm.
you are, just by keep saying it. So I just started saying it. And then all of a sudden, people started telling me that they actually realized they felt safe there because I was saying it out
Mhm.
loud. And it
Mhm.
was just that simple. And that made a huge difference. And then I do think that a lot of people, like when I built the website Ornery Mule Racing, um, I was like, okay, well, I need to kind of define who I am. And I'm like, what am I all about? And I'm like, like if somebody comes there, what do I want them to know about Ordinary Mule Racing? And I'm like, kindness, community, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Yes, I
And
love
I
that.
just I just typed that out, like just kind of quickly, and that's been something that people have connected to quite a bit. And then I think that that's who comes, because the people that don't want to be like that aren't going to be part of our
Yes.
community.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you say that. I mean, for myself, I'm a queer race director. And so I understand the value. And if you don't say that you're a safe space, for a lot of people, like we don't know. Right. And so there's so much value in just saying it out loud to know, because like for me, there's races I won't go to because I'm like, I don't know the race director. I don't know the location. I don't know these people. And like, I don't want to go and have issues. And I know a lot of other people in the community, not just queer people, BIPOC athletes that feel that same way. And so I love that you put that out there and you say it, because there is such importance. And like you said, the people who are like, oh, I don't want to be inclusive, like they don't come to your races. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, like maybe we're not being inclusive to them, I get, but like, that's not the vibe you want at those races. And there's plenty of race directors that don't care, and they can go do those races. So I commend you for putting that out there, just knowing that like, oh, I'm probably going to lose, some runners from this, but I'll gain a lot.
Yeah, I had a friend once tell me, they're like, "Well, Michelle, it's your race, so
Mhm.
you need to, just be you, and then the people that you like to be around are going to be the who's naturally comes around."
Yeah.
And I'm too positive for some people. Like there's literally people I know that could not stand me because they couldn't believe that I was really that happy. Or
They're
and
like,
it's not even like I am, but they just because like I said, I don't like to actually say that's who I am, because I'm not always happy, but I am pretty positive, and that can be hard on people. And I'm so glad and also that taking that class, and I didn't know we needed to necessarily say that out loud. So I'm
Mhm.
so glad that that simple little class, that one tidbit,
Yeah.
and immediately, like it was like overnight, me starting to say that people started reaching out, going, "Oh, I feel safe here. I'm so glad." And
Yeah.
yeah, that was amazing. And it's good to hear that from you as well. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that Jamil was kind of an inspiration to you. Are there other race directors that you've looked up to over your career?
Well, Jason and Timo from Kettle
Okay.
100.
Yeah.
That, Kettle, like Ice Age, I like Ice Age 50, but like I said, I always like the 100-mile distance. And actually, I really think the 100K distance is totally an amazing distance. I think there should be more races out there. That 100K is the longest distance because I think it's a fun distance to race because
Mhm.
most people's body won't fall apart in that
Yeah.
100K and they can really push themselves and find out how hard they can push themselves. And 100 miles is a lot trickier to do that. And so a lot of people like I kind of feel like Ice Age 50 was the more popular one. And I like was in love with Kettle 100 when Ice Age was not the most popular one. I think the course is absolutely amazing, especially the 100K course. I actually never did the 100. The 100K course was what I just think is an absolute perfect course. And I remember going to a race that and they like talked beforehand, and it was the race was small enough that they could like yell and tell everybody the directions right before the race and you
Yeah.
could hear them, and they were so funny. Like they did like a skit and I'm like, man, I wish I could be that funny. I never will be. But they were like, but what they needed to get across to everybody, they just did such a perfect job of getting that across. And then Timo would be at the finish line for every single person, and 100-mile runner going out when they would get to the 100K point, and then they have to turn around and go back out. And I just have a lot of really great feelings about them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, what's next in Ornery Mule? Do you have other races you want to add or direction you want to grow?
Yeah, there is other races that I would like to add. I mean, I've been looking at some 200-mile courses because I think that would be
Everyone's into
really
that right
cool.
now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's growing.
And I would like to do a marathon. I am looking at a marathon course. When I added Galena, I was actually in Galena looking for a marathon course,
Mm,
and but didn't find a marathon course, but found the course that I did. And so like those would be the two races that maybe I would add. We've got the coaching business. We're really excited about that. That's going well, and it's really a passion for me too because when I started running, like I didn't know you were supposed to eat. I didn't know how to train. Like I think I just probably ran too many miles all the time. And so I got a coach at one point and learned how nice that was. And so now I like really wish that everybody could have a coach
mhm.
because it would make it's so important I want everybody to be the healthiest, best runner that they can be. So focusing on our coaching a lot is probably most for this year. And then we've been working on fashion line. We
Oh,
have a whole
yes.
fashion. We've Nikki and Sid have been helping, and we've got a whole room at our shop that we've made it all clean and like it's a clean slate that it's like our inspiration room to design stuff. So we've come up with some good designs this year, and that's been I don't know. That's just we just wake up and do stuff that we like to do, and
You're like, what a joy. What a joy. Okay. I know you're training for a race right now. Remind me of what that is.
well, I have Crown King 50K coming up, which is one of Jamil's races.
Yes.
But I don't really consider that my A race for this year, even though it's going to take everything I have to be able to finish that. I'm going to sign up for Tunnel Hill 50 mile,
Oh, nice.
and
Yeah, Durbin's race.
yeah, so that will be my A race cuz I really like flat and fast,
Mhm.
and I'm going to test my paces out after Crown King and just try to, set the fastest goal for myself that I can
Yeah.
to go after. I did do the marathon last year, and so I have some ideas of what I can do, but I have gotten a little bit faster than when I did that. But Crown King is coming up March 25th. I'm really super close to that.
Yeah, you are.
And Chris Warden, he does the like the podcasting and like the live broadcasting for
Mhm.
Aravaipa, and he finished Hennepin this year. He's from Rockford,
Mhm.
Illinois, and so we became friends. And he was telling me, "Oh, Michelle, you should do Crown King." Like he says, really, it's one of my favorite races. It's super old. It's like 40 years old.
Hmm.
And you go up and over a mountain, and then you finish at this like little bar in a ghost town.
Of course.
And I'm like, that just sounds so cool. But I'm like so bad at uphill, and it's
Mm.
6,500 feet of
Oof,
gain and 29
goodness.
miles.
Oh my gosh.
And then it's a 2 mile screaming downhill, is the way they describe it, to the finish line. So I don't know. I've been running trails all winter,
Mhm.
and even though like Frozen Dome is like 1/8 of the amount of elevation gain
Yeah.
as this race will be. So, and that's the course I'm running on. And so I'm not, I don't know. We'll see. I'll just do I hope I can stay in front of cutoff.
I was about to ask if you did anything additional coming from, the flatlands and going to something with such a huge amount of vert.
Well, I mean, I really think that, I've gotten myself as physically fit as I can over the winter. And just being physically fit, you can use, and mentally prepared, I think you
Mhm.
can get through anything. Um, there's probably some stuff I should have done. I thought about doing some long uphills on the treadmill, but I didn't do that. And
It's a
because
bit
I
too
would.
late now. It's a bit too late now.
Yeah, I just would rather run on trails outside. And so there's some stuff that maybe I could have done to prepare, but I mean I did 100% of my runs on trail. So I
Yeah.
I wanted to get good trail legs because last year I mainly ran more flat and fast stuff.
Hmm.
And so I really wanted to, practice on the trails, and um we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. Like Chris was telling me that you go up and you can turn around and see where you started, because you start at Lake Pleasant,
Okay.
and you can see this lake just getting smaller and smaller as you get away. And you can see all the trail that you've been running on. It just sounds incredible. I just hope I get to see it all. I will try my best.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm from the South. I had never heard of Ornery Mule, and I've been around ultra running for like a long time, right? Never have. But I also didn't really hear about Midwest races. How do you feel about, like, the Midwest gets zero attention, but we've got beautiful spaces. How does that make you feel as someone who's been in the industry for what, we're going 15 years?
Yeah, I agree, and I have said stuff to like Ultra Running Magazine, and
Hmm.
um, I don't know. I'm pretty well. It doesn't sound like I'm quiet, but I'm kind of an introvert.
Hmm.
But for some reason, I will be really vocal about speaking up for Midwest trail running, and I'll be right in front of like a whole bunch of big people, and I'll just like tell them
Hmm.
all, like, we're worth paying attention to. We have some really great athletes here,
Hmm.
and it has been a passion of mine to bring attention to Midwest running. And I think we're definitely on the verge of, really getting a lot of attention. Um, I mean, when I went out to American Trail Running Conference, and everybody stands up and introduces themselves, and so many people came up to me afterwards, like they had heard about all of our races, and like there was kind of a line to talk to me,
Oh, that's
and
rad.
they had done Hennepin, and or knew somebody that did Hennepin. Hennepin's been a really popular race. Hennepin hundreds,
Hmm.
it's really popular. It's just there's not a lot of stuff out there like that,
Yeah.
and we get people from just all over the world for that race. So I've done conference every year, so I kind of felt like this year that a lot of people had really started to hear about it. I mean, we've been filling up by. I mean, we actually filled up, and I ended up letting a couple more people in already now.
Yeah.
Because I know that we'll have some people that will pull out before the race, so I actually increased the cutoff a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do think it's getting better.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like literally just hitting me right now in this moment that of the race directors that I know in the Midwest that truly are running race directing companies, not people with like one-off races or whatever, that they're women. Like, this is just hitting me. Like, I know of a group down in Kansas that's led by a woman and a non-binary person, and they do a great job, just a kick-ass job. The gosh, Teen Sparkle Productions. Man, I was gonna be mad at
Oh,
myself. Forgot
cool.
that. They do a rad job. And then we've got you here, and I'm much tinier, so I'm not gonna put myself in your bucket. But like, that's interesting because outside of Candace Burt, I don't really know of a woman race director with a lot of races going on. So I'm intrigued now. Like, what is it about the Midwest that's giving us the space to do that? That's interesting.
Yeah, well, another really great Midwest female race director would be Shalini down in Missouri. She puts on, I I can't think of the name of some of her races right now, but she puts on a couple races and she does a really great job. And I think that women are fantastic at being race directors because I don't know. I shouldn't say that, but I feel like we're very creative and thoughtful.
Mhm.
And so, like, I'll make sure it's a shirt that women like. And I don't even know that guys care about that as much. Like, a
Yeah,
lot of my races will have over 50% women in
that's
it.
awesome.
And I think that part of, because you get a good race shirt. There's been plenty of races I've done, and I don't mind. The race experience is great for me, but there's been plenty of shirts where I get this gigantic men's shirt that
Oh yeah.
like is just so ugly on me. And, so I think that has helped grow our races, and women, definitely are drawn to Ornery Mule Racing. Like, if you're a single guy, like, Ornery Mule Racing's a place to be.
Come on by. Come on by. Come on by. I love that. I love that. That's just like an interesting tidbit that I just thought about and hadn't. So I'm gonna like dig into this and find out what is Midwest is producing just rad like boss race directors in that way. That's interesting. How do you keep your community like thriving between events?
Well, I've spent a lot of time trying to come up with ways to keep people connected to one another. And I kind of like to, in my mind, I'm like running it a little bit like a park district. I used to be on
Yeah.
the Crystal Lake Park District board.
Yes.
And it's like I was a politician, but it's like an elected volunteer job. And
Yeah.
I did that for like 8 years. So that was a great learning experience for me. So, and the Crystal Lake Park District does an amazing job. Like, it's just so well run. And so I kind of feel like I learned a lot from that. And so we just started doing group training runs, and we have those in like the suburbs of Chicago and
Mm.
Wisconsin. And I'm giving like ornery mule money to
Mhm.
the people that lead these runs.
Oh, that's cool.
And so giving them an incentive
Mm.
to do that. And then it kind of helps make somebody responsible, and they should, and it helps grow the community, helps find a safe spot for you to go run and meet some other people between races.
Mhm.
Like, it's nice this weekend. I'm like, okay, where do I go run? I could go run in Byron area. I could go run up at Nordic because they have a training run there, or I could run here in Crystal Lake. And it's kind of nice having those kind of choices out there. And then I don't know, we just try to come up with different ways. We did the podcast.
Mhm.
We're not as consistent as you are on the podcast, but
It's
that
hard. It's
definitely
hard to be
helped.
consistent. It's hard. You already got a lot going on.
We did a good job during COVID, and that definitely helped. During the COVID shutdowns, we stayed on top of it. But then once all the races started again, then we've been really inconsistent. But I don't know. I kind of like the way it is. Whenever like we're inspired by something, then we get on and we do it. But so we did that. Like, we just had a painting party here over the weekend. We do a couple of those, and everybody brought their kids. We had like 40 or 50 people here painting. And I don't know, we just try to come up. We've done self-defense classes, and we just do all that stuff as free
Mhm.
um, things that money from the race is budgeted towards keeping people entertained in between races.
That's amazing.
So and I think that it's really important.
Mhm.
like I never have looked at Ornery Mule. Like when I started, I didn't look at it as it was going to be my job.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was something that I love to do. And then it accidentally started, I had to quit my job because I couldn't keep up. And it started, being profitable and, um, thank goodness. So I can actually work on it full time because it deserves my full time on it so that it can be the best that it can be.
Yeah. Where did the name Ornery Mule come from?
Well, everybody, so I like did all these races and everybody kept saying, "Oh, they're Michelle's races, Michelle's
Oh,
races." And I did not like, well, for one thing, I'm like, man, if they don't like it, then it's Michelle's race. And that like, I'll just want to cry. Like, and, so, so I felt a little pressure on that, but really I had like people like Jeff Lennard, and Jeff Goodmanson that were just so helpful in the races. And when they would call it Michelle's races, and I would think about all the volunteers that were at the race that just knocked that absolutely made the race. It wasn't
mhm,
just me. And so I thought the races needed something that people visualized everybody. It wasn't just Michelle.
mhm.
And, I like to laugh. And so I was trying to think of a name. I'm like, well, ultra runners, they're really tough like a mule. And, they're kind of get ornery if you don't feed them very well. So maybe we should do like ornery mule racing and that we couldn't think of anything funnier. Like I talked to all my friends and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Ornery Mule Racing. That just sounds good." So we sat on it for a few weeks and then that's what we decided to do all the races under cuz now I feel like when people see that they don't think Michelle, they
Mhm.
see all the people that they're used to seeing at the race.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that story. So, Michelle, do you have like a big dream race or an ultra running accomplishment, like a fastest known time or whatever that you would like to achieve?
Um Well, I mean, this year I'm hoping that I can get myself into shape to do pretty fast 50 mile for me. I
Mhm,
won't be able to PR my 50 mile. I doubt.
mhm.
My 50-mile PR is like 9 hours and 20 minutes.
Ooh.
And it was actually done during a 100K race that I did in under 12 hours. So I don't know. I don't think I'll get to that. But
Mhm,
I do think I could probably hold maybe like a 11:30 pace
mhm.
for 50 miles, which would be possibly get close to 10 hours or maybe just
Yeah.
under 10 hours. But we'll see. I'm going to have to stay healthy this year.
Mhm,
And so that's my big goal in the head is to try to get as close to 10 hours as possible at
mm.
Tunnel Hill, but I could be way off if I'm not healthy, but based on what I know I did last year there and what I trained on and how easy I ran very easy there. It was I hadn't really been training. I had gotten pretty out of shape and then I had gotten back into shape last year. So I went there with very conservative training and I don't know. I just feel like I've got that in me, but we'll see.
Yeah. So this is the new question I've been ending with, and I don't really know why I've started doing this, but really just because I'm curious, because you're a whole person outside of running. What's a dream or a goal that you have for yourself right now outside of the running space?
Hmm.
You're like, do I have one? I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of it definitely revolves about around running.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean the clothing, we really would like to get a nice clothing line. Like
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of research on it. I found a pattern maker.
Hmm.
I've gone to shows and kind of learned about finding factories to work on your stuff. Uh and I've been working at it for way too long. I feel like everything I do, I move really slow at. Even though everybody thinks that it seems like Ordinary Meal grew fast, but I moved very slow. So I don't know. I think that probably growing a clothing line is a pipe dream that I don't know if we'll achieve, but it's kind of that's my biggest, my most fun side
Hmm.
hobby. and my cats.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. Well, Michelle, thank you I mean, I've met you in person now, so we're not really strangers on the internet, but thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you. I think that you throw amazing events in the Midwest and in just the country as a whole. And I look forward to checking out another event soon. I think our races kind of butt up to each other the next couple times, but I will definitely come back to Frozen Gnome because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Allie. I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you.